the end of the day, as I always say, man, I'm a Dallas Cowboys hard here first. I live this team, I breathe this team, I'm passionate about it. This is what it's really about. The game is in Texas, like Cowboys Nation, it's not us. But what I can control is repping my team, repping my star, supporting my team, and giving it all I got.
What's up, CFO gang? It's your boy Jay Tuck. Real Cowboys fans, stand up and yo, I'm on cloud nine, man. I'm on cloud nine right now, man. I'm feeling good because our Dallas Cowboys have finally kicked off training camp out there in Oxnard, man. It was a lot going on, man, a lot to talk about, but just to see our team back in pads, back out there, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, Stephon Gilmore, Trayvon Diggs, the $100 million man, I'm feeling good right now, so you know what we got to do. I had to bring on my brother, man. This guy, he really doesn't need no introduction, especially around here, man. He's like a brother of mine. When I started way back in 2020, I was a little young pup, man. Came across this group, man. They were Star Gang back then. Bj Nix, Spoonie, Mariella, those are my family, man. So I had to get my guy Nix on to come and talk camp, man. So CFO fam, don't need no introduction. Y'all know who he is, man. My guy, the king of spaces from Pick Six Sports, Bj Nix. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, man. Exciting. Yeah, I mean, Cloud Nine, the whole nine, or maybe like Micah Parsons today, slowly walking into camp with a stick in hand and ready to get after it.
Yeah, man. It's just walking out to camp with a big stick in his hand, man. I kind of like that for Micah Parsons, man.
Yeah.
But, like, it just felt surreal because I was kind of sitting back, right, and just, kind of just waiting because other teams were kicking off. Like the Chiefs, man, they've been in practice for damn near like a month, it feels like, right? So I was like, well, when is it our turn? When is it our turn, right? And so to see our boys out there actually in practice and pads and doing a little bit of things that we'll talk about here shortly, it just kind of hit me like, we here. You know what I'm saying? There's no turning back now. Like for those of you who go to like amusement parks, we strapped in that roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
We going up the hill, man. Just put your hands up in the air. There's no chicken line. You can't get out, man. But Nix, man, how are you feeling as the Dallas Cowboys are heading to camp for this 2023 NFL season?
Man, I'm excited. I'm super excited. And it talked about a lot throughout the process. And, we've had some of these conversations as well, too. Just, first and foremost, watching this defense since Dan Quinn's gotten here, right? And we've seen the evolution and things like that, and things we've wanted to see from the front office even, and being proactive in the right kind of ways. And, You leave the game, in Santa Clara, the Niners, and you knew what the holes were for this team, right? And they went out here and took care of business, and you go get Cooks and you go get Gilmore. And on top of the draft and everything else they do, you retain your right. So, going into year 4 here underneath Mike McCarthy, and we've seen how he's kind of changed some of the culture within the building and how they address things. And some of these, even like how they're addressing Zach Martin's contract. We're not going to talk about it,
Right.
and things like that, right? But just to see where this defense went from the very worst from 2020 historically and build up and going into this season, right? Because defense wins championships, and what they've addressed and added to this mix and getting Diggs deal done and out of the way. I mean, the sky's the limit for this defense. I've said it before. I think this is easily a top 5 defense on paper, right? I mean, we know we're talking about paper right now. We're getting into things, but there's not a reason to me to look at this team defensively and say that they can't be the best defense in the league, right? Back-to-back years, 30 plus turnovers. First time a team's done that since the 70s Steel Curtain Pittsburgh Steelers. Back-to-back 12-5 seasons and whatnot, and getting that wide receiver room addressed on the other side. I think, for me, you should, and I put this tweet out about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's easy to say that the Cowboys are a legitimate contender. He's the upper echelons of contenders in the NFC, and it's not a facade. It's not Jerry Jones selling you snake oil. That's really where this team is at here heading into camp.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. Because normally we get that Jerry Jones celebratory, this is our year, it's the best I ever felt, right? And we kind of sit back there and it's like, all right, bro, cut the cap, right? But this year it's like, they did what we asked them to do, Nix. It's really built upon what you did the previous season. And like I said this thousands of times, right? Going back to that 2021 season when we were out in Dallas and we had all our white on and we lost that wild card game to the 49ers, I felt like, okay, we kind of took our lumps in this game, but let's build off of that. But I kind of felt like they poked a lot more holes into the boat. But this year, it's like, okay, we knew what our holes were last year. Let's go ahead and fix it. They patched it up with Brandon Cook, Stephon Gilmore. They brought back, we'll talk about that here shortly, Donovan Wilson, went in the draft, got some more beef when it comes to Mozzie Smith, breaking the mold, going defensive tackle in the first round. So it's like, from a Cowboys fan perspective, you should feel good to be able to build off the pillars and the foundation and the culture that not only Mike McCarthy has set, but also Dan Quinn has set with this defense, right? And so now it's kind of exciting to see everything fully merged together. So you got no choice but to be optimistic as a Cowboys fan. Now, we got a lot of football to play, a lot of things to unfold, but comparing to how I felt this time last year, I was kind of drinking a little fake Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? I was kind of, saying like, all right.
We knew the wide receiver room wasn't right last year. Yeah, we knew that.
I always say, like, it's like that Jay-Z meme when my guy Law Nation, Salute to Law Nation, was talking about James Washington. I was just like, okay, like, maybe
it'll work. He hadn't had the right kind of quarterbacks, and you get in here.
If you go back to Oklahoma State, it just like, so I was like, I was trying to talk myself into it, even though I wasn't comfortable with it. But this year, I feel like there's not a lot of situations that I have to kind of force and talk myself into to be optimistic. And so, from a Cowboys fan perspective, you should be feeling good. So, Mike McCarthy talked about a lot. Salute to the super chat, man. Just showing my gratitude. Appreciate y'all both. Legal Pat, man. Appreciate you, guys. My guy, Aaron, man.
Aaron. Yeah, what's up, man?
Appreciate you. But, like, when it comes to this camp, I'm trying to get your insight, Nix. What are some things, like, you're looking for? It's like, all right, this is what Nix is penciled in and focused on when it comes to this 2023 camp out in Oxnard and also in Frisco.
Yeah, man. There's so many intriguing camp battles, for me in varied positions. And maybe at the very top of the line, but we're talking about like that. Who's going to be the wide receiver 4, right? And, you're looking at the cornerbacks, and, hey, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that it's going to be Bland in the slot. I think there's competition there, and just a lot of different things that are within that. Obviously, the offensive line, we could talk about. We could spend the whole show talking about offensive line if we want to.
We won't do that. We're going to dive deep into it here in a second.
Yeah. But, for me, I think the thing where I'm really looking at is the linebacking core. And not from a standpoint of, and I've been open with this, right? I've been very open about, like, that's the position I wanted to go add a couple of pieces. And they did, right? They brought back LVE. They drafted Overshown. And, and realistically, my nervousness, I guess we could say, or call it that way, is we have a lot of unknown equities at linebacker. Because we know what LVE is. We know some of the history of injuries and whatnot, but we know what he is when he's upright, okay? And is Clark going to take that year 2 jump, right? Overshown going to walk in this third round guy and be a major contributor? Now can we finally believe in Jabril Cox now? The brace is off the knee now. He actually believes in the knee more than he did last year.
Right.
So I don't think it's a talent issue at linebacker, more so than we have unknown equity at linebacker and what they can bring to the table. So that's really what I'm going to focus on early on in camp is these linebackers, the rotation, and how are they progressing.
Yeah, and that's a great segue. And salute to my guy, Michael Coleman. If y'all don't know Michael Coleman, he covers the Dallas Cowboys out there in Texas. A good friend of mine who I do the radio with. I actually just text him like, man, I heard your questions out there, questioning Mike McCarthy. But he's very familiar with DeMarvin Overshown. He was actually at his draft party with them out there in Tyler, Texas. And so I want to get into this question, and it's the soundbite that Mike McCarthy spoke about Overshown, because Mike McCarthy's eyes lit up when it came to DeMarvin Overshown. So it seems like the Cowboys really had plans. Let's go ahead and hear this clip real quick.
Sure.
You praised the rookie class yesterday. What has DeMarvin Overshown up to this point shown you?
Well, I think you can really just jump back to my early answer. When you look at special teams, there's a young man that he gets it. He's made an impression right away in the offseason program, both on special teams, and when the special team coaches, we get into your personnel meetings, and he's one of the first guys you talk about. That's what you're looking for, and he's done a really good job. I know Dan and Scott McCurley, we're excited about him and what he brings to the table. But he's done a really, really good job coming in here, learning it, and I look for him to make an impact.
So, yeah, and that's the one thing. If you watch Mike McCarthy's press conference, especially when it comes to the younger players, and he mentioned it frequently today, even with the running back position, he is big on special teams contribution. So for like a lot of the younger players, whereas Junior Fiocco and Deuce Vaughn, and the list goes on and on,
Right.
they're going to have to find a way to kind of carve their lanes out in special teams. But when it comes to the linebacker core, I feel like Overshown is definitely going to be able to add value, because look at the room, right? Like you said, LVE, you have Clark, who I think is going to take a massive leap. Then you get into Overshown. Then you're talking about Devin Harper. Then you're talking about Isbrillo Kai. So then it kind of gets like, you're kind of walking on eggshells a little bit, because we know and we felt the impact last year when LVE went down. Like, we felt it. And I know a lot of people, LVE is too slow, and he is too this, and he's too that. We felt it when he went down. I was like, I need LVE back, like some way, somehow, right? So, if something was to happen with LVE, and this is what I was saying on Twitter today, there could be a huge chance where you lose a lot of high IQ. You lose your IQ guy, you lose your green dot guy, even though J-Ron Curse can be that. You know what I'm saying? You lose a lot of value. So there is a Deion Jones and a Miles Jack and, Zach Cunningham, like some of those veteran guys still out there. So I personally don't think the Cowboys are done with the linebacker room. How do you feel about the linebacker room? You think the Cowboys are done, or are they good at this point?
I think they're walking it out, and I think they want to see what these guys have before they make a move. I think if they were to make a move at linebacker, and let's say injuries, nothing happens injury-wise, obviously. Sure, there could be something that we would see towards the end of camp, maybe cut downs or whatever the case may be. Maybe they want to add something there.
Right.
But I think they want to give these young guys the amount that they, all the reps they could possibly get, right? Because, Overshown's a rookie. How much can you work him in? Jabril now back with the knee, being confident in it. See where DeMone Clark gets. Harper, he was injured last year. What does he bring to the table? So I think they'll give these young guys a chance. And we saw this. They did this with the linebacker. With the wide receivers last year.
Right.
Now, granted, they took them forever to get T.Y. Hilton in here, but they let these young guys walk it out for a while and never ultimately made the move that we wanted to see.
Right.
But I think they're going to be
luckily.
Yeah. And of course, not only would they want to let them walk it out, but again, it goes back to the big nickel and some of the things that the Cowboys do, where they use the linebacker or the safeties down in the box a lot more and stuff. So, when you don't have these known equities per se, you want to see what you get out of them before you add a piece, because it goes back to the special teams.
Right.
If you're bringing in one of these vets, they're not playing special teams. So, they have to look at it that way. And how's it going to fold into the big nickel? But if they do bring somebody in, I feel like it's going to be closer towards the end of camp barring injury, of course, as always.
Right, and I agree. And you speak about the safety, so great segue, because we kind of took a safety hit today with Donovan Wilson straining his calf. Now, I think it still reports that he hasn't. Is he going to get X-rays? I was looking at no-see. I don't think it's still undecided, right?
I think in the morning they're actually
going
to
to X-ray in the morning.
They got him in a boot now.
Right, he's in a boot,
and then MRI in the morning. And Izzy hamstring.
Yeah,
and they're going to do and reevaluate him in the morning as well too.
Yeah, so depending on severity of Donovan Wilson's calf strain, because we know like with Michael Gallup, it kind of lingered on a little bit. Is he going to be ready week 1, week 2? Still remains to be unseen. So salute to Aisha, because she asked the question. I was wondering, okay, so when he went out, who went in? And from the Patrick No-Sea's response, it seemed like my guy, Marquise Bell, was the substitute. Yeah, so I know the Cowboys are very high on Bell, but like you said, Nix, we play a lot of big nickel, a lot of nickel defense. If Donovan Wilson, who's kind of our Swiss Army knife, isn't available to go early in the season, who's going to be that guy to kind of step in the void? Now, I feel.
Let me throw a name at you.
Go ahead.
Let me throw a name at you.
Is he going to?
Is this an opening for maybe a certain rapper?
Yeah, it could be.
Because in the OTAs and stuff, there was some doing the slot work from Kelvin Joseph, and talk about he's with the safety group and everything. Now you get a couple little nicks here from your safeties, and we know McQuan kind of moves around a little bit more than what Donovan does. Mm-hmm. Does this open the door where not only are they going to use Bell, but do you maybe see Kelvin Joseph a little bit more back with the safeties? Time will tell, obviously.
I think this is your golden opportunity to prove yourself, right? So if he gets that opportunity, because this is what I was asking, right? And of course we saw the viral video of the interception and Simi, Simi's going to be playing in Canadian League tomorrow because he dropped the pass. And we're talking about practice. Saying? Not a game, not a preseason game, but we're talking about practice. First practice walkthroughs, actually, you know what I'm saying? But the thing that I was asking when Eric Scott Jr. got that interception is, all right, how soon did he get in that rotation? Because when I was looking out there, I saw Marquise Bell, I saw Trayvon, I saw Gilly, and I saw Eric Scott. So I was like, did he go in before Kelvin? Did he go in before Nation? Because that was a Dak interception. So he obviously was out there there was some caliber players out there. So, that's something to definitely keep our eye on. But if I am Kelvin Joseph, and I talked to Kelvin Joseph behind the scene, I'm not going to tell you what we talked about, but if you get any opportunity, bro, you got to take it. You know what I'm saying? So if they say, you know what, Donovan's out, you go to Dan Quinn right now, you go to and say, hey, Donovan's out. I want to play in this role. Let me get this role. Let me get these reps. Because if not, like everyone's saying in the chat, it's going to be tough to kind of find where is he going to fit in. So, that's one of the things when it comes to camp, man. And Mike McCarthy said this in his press conference, getting down to that final 53 with one swoop of the pen this year, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's not that little wave kind, you know what I'm saying? So everybody's going to be playing throughout the preseason thinking that they're good. Then all of a sudden, you're going to get a lot of office visits, man. So I feel like overall, for Kelvin Joseph, if there's the opportunity to play safety, this is where you raise your hand and you definitely
go right back.
All right, go ahead.
For me.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, but button. If there's an opportunity to go play safety, you definitely have to go step in and try to make that happen. So, my guy Special K says, y'all remember how Vasher looked in training camp? Yeah. And here's what I'm saying, y'all. Listen, I know it's training camp. I know that we're all excited about football season, self included, right? But if you tell me, hey, Tuck, you can go out there and practice with the Cowboys, they can't hit you, you ain't got no pads on, let's not start scrapping players and canceling and cutting players because of day one reps. You know what I'm saying? There's still a lot of football left. Because what happens if Simi comes out and plays lights out tomorrow? Or he plays out and give us some time, Cowboys Nation. Relax. No need to panic and, you know what I'm saying, and get into panic mode. I know y'all having PTSD because it hit his hands and y'all freaking all out, but just relax a little bit. We're talking about practice. Now, I want to get into a few things when it comes to camp.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Before you get over there.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Simi. Then when I was watching was the play before and the battle Simi and Tolbert, right, from 4 is kind of where it's at, right? That's what we think. Not that anybody else is not in the battle, but those are the two we talk about a lot. Well, the play before the in the hands interception, it's Tolbert making a catch.
Right.
Then Simi does that. Then Tolbert comes in and makes another catch.
Right.
But here's the thing about it, and no one's talking about this on the other end. Simi went out here and still had a pretty good productive day.
Right.
Like he still made a couple of great catches later after that interception and did some good work. So it's like we understand the highlight. It's going to be talked about. Here's another ball bouncing off the hands, intercepted from last year PTSD, as you eloquently called it.
Right.
But he still bounced back ahead. The rest of the practice
Right.
was really good. I want us to make sure we highlight that as well.
Right.
Like, that's a terrible practice today.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I was saying, because Haley Sutton, salute to Haley, she posted a clip on Twitter and sent it to me. Like, he had some good catches too. But, of course, you're always going to highlight the bad. You're going to highlight the interceptions. You're going to highlight the missed throws and the miscues. But, it's not the time to start writing off players. There's still a lot to be seen. And this is why, y'all, I'm not even at camp right now. Y'all see, I'm in the basement, because next week when the pads come on, that's where the money resides. That's where I want to see what you're really about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I guess it's with drill, speed, trying to get that continuity. Things kind of happen, right? But I'm not going to write you off just because a simple interception or miscue happened on the first day of practice. Y'all got to relax just a little bit. They said, Tuck, you were an offensive lineman, though. Man, I could catch, though. I had hands, though. You know what I'm saying? I was a hybrid, offensive tackle / tight end. I can do a lot of different things, man. I got hands. But yeah, speaking of camp, though, also another topic that was talked about that they has to be excited about, Terrence Steele. He was back in action, man, playing right tackle. So, what is your thoughts on Terrence Steele? Because this is what scares me, Nix. The Cowboys, he's good to go. He even miraculously just came back healthy and early, and I heard it all before, So what's your thoughts on Terrence Steele being back already after the ACL injury?
Yeah, I think obviously for me, and he goes back when he's working out with Duke, right?
Right.
And we saw that, 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing to me was like, not that he was doing work with Duke. I was like, oh, you don't even have a brace on.
Right.
I was like, oh, you don't have a brace on. And here's the other thing about it. Offensive linemen and wide receivers and running backs, they are built different in what they have to go do and what they have to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, and we can use the prime example of it, like a high ankle sprain. Remember, Tommy, I just got a high ankle sprain last year. Guess what? He was in the playoffs playing.
Right.
There's a running back or wide receiver, wouldn't have been playing in that game, or shot up and been very ineffective, if you will, if they're playing in that game. So I'm really not concerned about Terrence still, because one, they don't have to force him, right? I don't. This is not the Michael Gallup situation was I think different. If we want to get somewhere with that, but I think just seeing him early on working with Big Duke and not having that and where things were residing and going, I'm really not concerned about it, because look, if they want to, McCarthy's been very good about being very patient with injuries throughout. We know the Gallup situation,
right?
We're very clear. We definitely a little bit of a swing and a miss because of some of the things the front office did, perhaps, and not getting the James Washingtons to come around and work the right way or whatnot, or, Tober not meshing right away. But overall, we saw guys take a little bit longer. They do certain things with him. So the fact of, not only is he cleared, but, he was out here basically like the second rep in getting work.
Right.
And wasn't overworked either. So I think that's another thing to talk about it. They're just acclimating him, getting him going. They're not in pads. You're not doing a whole lot. So no, I think he's in a good space. And again, it's the day and times that we live in before, yesteryears, if you will, and be able to see him do this work with Duke and them out there and see how he was moving, looking at the leg, see he didn't have the brace on. It gives me more confidence in that realm of where he's at.
Yeah, and I agree. I feel like Terrence Steele is going to be definitely one of the anchors for our offensive line, who we're going to need him, especially in the run game and also in pass pro. So shout out to my superstar, Aisha Morris, in the building. But she asked my very next question, right? So we know Zach Martin, he's not in Cabo. I don't think Zach is in Cabo. I think he's, he's still working, right? But, with Zach Martin's absence, it looked like Josh Ball was our starting right guard. I was like, man, if you need leverage and a holdout, that's all the leverage you need. So, it seems like Josh Ball got the starting at the right guard position, right? And so,
I got some work over there.
Yeah, Josh Ball was. So here's what happened, y'all. So Josh Ball started at right guard. You had Tyron Smith at left tackle, Tyler Smith at left guard, Tyler B at center, Josh Ball, and then you had Terrence Steele. Now, what is your thoughts on that, as Josh Ball being pretty much the first up at the right guard spot? Because I would have thought they would at least gave Farniok a go, or I remember that draft, that 2021 draft day show that we did, and I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, putrid. I'm sorry. I mean, look,
Yeah.
God bless him.
Right.
God bless Josh Ball. Okay, whatever. He should be going. Boy, I don't like doing this. I don't like doing this. He probably should be selling insurance, right? I mean, I just, we saw him when he was at tackle and whatnot. And I just don't see the move for him going into the guard. But this is something that McCarthy does, though. He wants
Right.
to take tackles and move them around. He talks
Right.
about them, the OTs and whatnot. Look, Brian, he's been here. You're going to plug him in there. We know at the end of the day, the Martin deal's getting done, so I don't think we really have to worry about it.
Right.
I think maybe more interesting, though, is their opportunity with the undrafted guy that also got
Yeah,
right guard.
TJ Bass, our guy TJ Bass. Me and Aisha spoke
Out of
about him out of Oregon.
Mhm.
Yeah, very nasty, violent player. But here's one of the things though I thought about that kind of hit me when I was kind of watching all the insiders go through their camp notes, right? Because they said that Josh Ball was at right guard, and then when Tyron Smith rotated out, Chima Udoga played left tackle. So I was thinking, okay, where is Matt Farniok and where is Matt? Well, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, okay. Now, granted, once again, y'all, it's day one, right? So let's not bite into it too heavily. But Chima Udoga at left tackle, Josh Ball at right guard. I'm not feeling it. Just not my vibe. You know what I'm saying? Not my thing, right? So, that's gonna be something interesting. Definitely, look out for, man. But if I'm out there next week and I see Josh Ball getting started in ramps, I'm gonna be.
If we wanted to take anything from it, and again, as you said, I mean, it's day one.
Right.
They're getting things rolling. Here was the thing that I would take away from it. If they're rotating and looking, the one thing about Chuma is, he has predominantly played tackle, left tackle in the league.
Right.
But what it tells me is Tyler Smith's your left guard, period.
Yeah.
I think, again, if we're taking anything from it, what they're saying is, no matter what happens to Tyron Smith, Tyler's just going to be your left guard this entire year, and that's just it. If we're going to take anything from it, that's where I would land. Again, way too early, right? Day one of practice and whatnot, but the thing I would take away would be that.
Yeah, and I agree. And this is what I was trying to explain to a lot of people, is that even though Tyler Smith worked out at left tackle last year, the whole plan was for him to play left guard. It was just kind of a breaking case of emergency, and we had no choice. It's like, all right, kid, go out there and cut your teeth, when he did just fine. But I think ideally they'll probably have him at left guard and maybe kick him out down the road when they move on from Tyron. But it sounds like they have some other things in the pipeline. I saw someone mention Awesome Richards. You got TJ Bass. You have Matt Farniok. You have, Errol Bostic out of KU. So there's a lot of guys kind of in that mix. I just need Josh Ball to get up better.
That's just interesting to me because, he was a guy, as we're going through our mock draft season and stuff like that, I was like, man, I would like to see the Cowboys maybe take a chance on this guy around the 6th round.
Right.
It's kind of where I was. And obviously he ends up going undrafted, but he ends up landed here anyways.
Right.
So I'm very intrigued to see the work that he's going to get into and how they do things. And of course, maybe some of this mix matching as well, from the press conference today, right? And kind of what McCarthy said, leading up, so, hey, we're getting these young guys now mixed in with the veterans so they know each other, and this is the first 9 practices is all about install right now,
right? And that's why I'm not buying too much into it. Salute to our girl Jess, she asked that question about mixing the young guys with the old guys. So it might just been a thing where the offensive line coach Mike Solari just reached back and was just like, go in, kid, with nothing really in mind, hey, we seen a substitute, just you go in, 74, go in, without a thought process. So I'm not going to buy into it too early, but to see Josh Ball kind of get the start, it's just like, okay, they got some type of plan for him. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that whole ordeal works out. So, definitely keep our eyes on the offensive line. Another good note, man, that we kind of talked about outside the offensive line was, my guy Kyle Uman said that he saw Jake Ferguson, and Jake Ferguson's looking bigger, stronger, and faster. And then also, once again, you got our 2nd round pick in Luke Schoonmaker. He's out as of right now, so that's no rookie camp. Slow start to camp, all season training camp. Once again, man, I'm feeling like it's Ferg's spot. I just don't think that you can sit back and if Luke is missing camp like this, take this spot from Jake Ferguson. But what's your thoughts on this tight end rotation and how things you think it's going to work out with Hendershot, Ferg, McKeon, and Luke Schoonmaker?
Yeah, it's got some problems for the tight end room. I mean, because you got a 2nd round pick. And at a certain point, and look, and going back to whenever he was in the boot at the OTAs, and I remember we talked about it on Twitter, different things. The Knicks, he's out of the boot now. He's
Right.
fine. I was
In the
like,
boot, out
and
the boot.
we said plantar fasciitis. It's just okay. Like how serious? We kind of had a conversation, BLS, and a lot of people,
Right.
in the spaces going back and forth. And then it's like, oh no, he's going to be ready for camp. And then we get to camp and automatically on the inactive list. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, there has to be more to it than
Right.
You're not babying it anymore.
Right.
So how bad is this thing, and
Right.
how long is this going to take for a guy, as you said, no work yet, and now here we are in camp.
Right.
I feel good about Jake Ferguson. I was big on Jake Ferguson last year,
Right.
and I was excited to get him in here. So I'm good with Jake. And then where's Hendershot going to be at in year 2 development? And then after that,
yeah,
I mean,
and here's the thing, Nix. This is why I kind of had the head scratching moment during draft season, because it was just like I just didn't feel like tight end was a pressing need. Someone just commented in the chat, right? Brian brought us as the staff likes Hendershot, so I feel like going because y'all know me and Nix, man. We were the conductor of the pitch train, and we were silent all draft season when it comes to tight end until everyone else started talking. I was like, well, hell, I'm gonna show up to the party. So if y'all gonna party, go party without me. What I'm saying? So I did feel a little Michael Mayers, saying all that, but I wasn't really thinking that we needed to go grab a tight end. So when we took him in the second round, the thing that had me concerned was, one, the lack of receiving reps that he actually got while he was at Michigan. But most importantly, he had an injury history, and he's an older prospect. So it's just like, and here it is starting to linger on already in camp. Like I said, missed rookie camp and missing training camp. It's a bad start. So I feel like out of all the draft picks, I feel like Luke is going to have the most uphill battle, especially with Cowboys fans, to prove his worth. Like, we need to be chanting Luke out the gate, because if not, if he's in a boot still week 1 and still recovering, we're gonna just be like especially with them offensive guards that were still available. But
yeah, and I just I ain't trying to rehash the draft and what was available, nothing. I think to a certain extent, right, the run on tight ends was so vast,
they panicked,
right? What happened, and I think they just said, hey man, if we don't get our guy here, we're going to be washed. And I think, they went that route. And just now here you are with another second round pick. Cowboys Nation, stop me when you heard this. Second round pick, maybe injured, maybe turning into a red shirt year, so on and so forth. But, I think Ferg has got us. I'm excited about those guys. Now, Hendershot's got some things to clean up. Got to be very clear about Hendershot.
Right.
And I do like Hendershot a ton. But, he has some penalty issues, and obviously it's some drop issues that turned into turnovers last year. He definitely has to clean those things up here in year 2. But that's the great thing about year 1 to year 2 and getting excited about that. But you're just kind of thin. I don't per se hate McEwen by any stretch. I don't know what exactly he's going to bring to the table. Now, how does that fold into, say, Hunter Lipke and what he can bring? And then, hey, man, the Stevens kid, the undrafted kid, 6'7" cat.
Oh, yeah.
Number 49. Hey,
yeah.
I saw him today doing some things. Hey, he's fluid for a 6'7" guy. Again, not in pads or whatnot.
Right.
The jersey, but I saw him moving around. Looks good. That might be the name we have to start thinking about with the situation with Schoonmaker when it comes to tight end.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing, y'all, is there's going to be some kids out there that's going to get some opportunity that comes out of nowhere. Like, think about this. Nobody was really talking much about Dennis Houston, and then you had, Peyton Hendershot. I know that, me and O and, we talked about it, but like a lot of people weren't high on Hendershot. So there's going to be some guys, especially some undrafted guys, that's going to get their opportunity, and they might make the most out of it. And speaking of which, a guy who I've been extremely high on out of Fresno State was Jalen Moreno-Cooper, and he had a big play, a big catch. Like, when I did the film breakdown on him, my thing that I saw the most is that he is a trustable, reliable slot guy. Now, he has some lapses, right? And some of the things I saw on him was like, if the ball ain't coming his way, he might check out a little bit. He might check out a little bit, right? But now he's at the NFL level, So he's going to stay hungry because there's a lot more on the line than he had at Fresno. But he's a guy that's already making a splash. And so you have to be careful. At the NFL level, your job isn't really safe until you're safe. Diggs, Micah, they safe. But when it comes to this wide receiver 4 slot, even though I'm high on Jalen Tolbert, there's kids coming up the pipe ready to snatch it. I know a lot of people like Kelvin Joseph and possibly Nashawn Wright, but Eric Scott, he's coming to prove his point. He has a chip on his shoulder. He's coming to snatch it. And so this is the importance of being able to scrap. And like Mike McCarthy said, all you have to really do is find your separation point on special teams. So whenever special teams is called, you going out there, if you a gunner or whatever, you go make it happen, because that's going to be your ticket to get in the building. And once you're in the building, you can make things happen, because we saw what happened with Deron Blaine last year. But, what are your thoughts on some of these undrafted guys who, we might not be really paying attention to? I know you're big on Hunter Luepke. You're probably the leader of the Hunter Luepke train. But who are some other guys that you think that can probably emerge where we're sitting back week one and saying, okay, he's out there in the rotation?
Yeah, I think, and it's very smart for Mike McCarthy, too, in plugging that so early about the special team aspect of things, because he's already said how hard it's going to be cut down. And said special teams, getting those guys on board and getting them out here. I mean, even talk about the running back room, right? Kind of special teams and different things. So planting that seed for these young guys, I think, is very ingenious on his part. Like, hey, this is going to matter. We need that. But yeah, I don't know. It's always a fun topic to talk about the undrafted guys who can make the final, because if you get too many of these guys, you're like, oh, dang, maybe this roster wasn't quite as good as we got like 4 or 5 of these guys making the two. Like, wait a minute,
right?
But again, the Cowboys. It's funny because not that they don't draft horribly in rounds, 2, 3, 4, nothing like that. But boy, they're really, really good in the undrafted side of things. They just really are. And they always bring guys in that cause that rift, if you will. Like you said, Cropper today, man, had a good day today.
Right.
A good catch for a touchdown in the end zone, up against good coverage. Now, obviously Dennis Houston last year, right? Now you have opportunity for maybe one of these undrafted tight ends to come in here and do something with what's happening with Schoonmaker now.
Right.
Mr. TJ Bass, from the offensive line. Here's an opportunity. And that's the biggest thing that we, from playing the game like we have, and in understanding as well too, when the door opens, you have the opportunity. You have to walk through it, right? And when those things happen to these young guys, they have to walk through it. Those guys have opportunity. And look, and we're not even getting to our guy from Liberty,
Darrell Johnson,
linebacker, right? That's another
and
guy that I'm very intrigued. As we were talking about the linebacker room earlier, what does Isaiah Lynn going to look like now going into the linebacker room? So yeah, there's just a lot of guys here at positions that we're looking at like, hey, we don't know everything there on the equity side because we haven't seen it yet. And that gives them opportunities. And the Cowboys very smartly pushed a lot of players into those rounds from the undrafted class this year to create that competition. Maybe that's one of the things that McCarthy and the Dan Quinn era has done maybe better than not maybe, they absolutely better than the previous regime, is they find ways to build competition at these positions throughout training camp.
Yeah, and that's the importance. And that's something like we've always asked, like transitioning from the Jason Garrett era over into the Mike McCarthy era, it's just open competition. And it feels like nothing is really set in stone besides the set in stone core guys, right? But there's a lot of opportunity. I mean, we'll talk about it here shortly, but people like Neville Gallimore, is he safe? Is he not? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's other names out there that was like, I don't know. When we start doing the roster cuts and trying to dive deeper as we get through camp, it's going to be like, I don't know. So, it's definitely something got to keep our eye on, even with J. Lou being on PUP, like, could there be another player that kind of emerges where the Cowboys think they can save a little money here and move on from J. Lou, even though I heard he's battling well back from his injury? They might say, hey, we got some young bloods out here that can save us a little bit more. So it remains to be unseen, but this is the fun. This is the exciting part about it. And this is why for people who watch my content, your content, Pick Six Sports, who are in the spaces, and that's really enriched with this community, is that when the preseason games come on, we're locked in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know some casual Cowboys fans like, oh, this is boring. Like, Dak's not even out there. I want to see CD. And me, I'm like, man, you see Isaiah Lynn? Did you see Earl Bostic with the, did you see? He was like, who the hell are you talking about? No.
Oh, look, they gave Bill 2 quarters this time instead of 1 quarter the last thing. Wait, he got more reps this round?
Oh, man. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they actually playing Darrell Johnson at edge and linebacker. They were like,
they're moving around. That's
they
true.
were like, shut up. You know what I'm saying? But that's the part of it, man. But that's the part of it, because you got to understand, a lot of these players, you might get minimal reps. You got to make the most out of it. And that's the part I hate about the wide receivers in particular. You might be a great foundation wide receiver with all the talent, but you might get out there with Will Greer and he's not even looking your way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of happens that way. And then you kind of move on, and they were sitting back, like I remember like Mike Jackson, like some of those guys that, kind of got away, and you're looking there at some random team cutting up. Like, I remember him. We should have kept him. Mike White. I remember when we drafted Mike White, the quarterback. I was like, I like this kid. Had a baseball arm, gets cut, released, You know what I'm saying? Then he's kind of making some noise out there in New York. So it's like, it's part of the business. But speaking of the running back room, Mike McCarthy also mentioned, once again, special teams rotation outside of Tony Pollard, because Tony Pollard looked good today. Like, the guy No C kind of showed video clips of him doing bag drills, so he's out there moving. But what's your thoughts on the running back 2 room? Who do you think is really going to emerge with this position? Because I don't know. Because when Mike McCarthy said special teams is going to matter, right, I was thinking, okay, special teams. I know Deuce can contribute, probably special teams. Ro Jones is probably not going to give you much on special teams. I can see Hunter giving you some special teams. Malik Davis, I got worried a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about Malik Davis, though. A lot of reps today.
A lot of reps.
And 7, 11, 11s.
A lot of reps.
They were just handing it to him. I was like, dang.
Yeah.
Malik number 1. Is he right now the number 2 here?
Right.
We're seeing all these reps. So it's intriguing. And look, and we know like Deuce Vaughn, right? Like Deuce Vaughn's going to be that specialty guy, maybe Darren Sproles-esque. You're going to find ways to get him involved, but not obviously. If something was to happen to Pollard, he's not going to be the immediate backup. That's not what his role is going to be for this team, obviously. So yeah, it's been a fun talk, as we were mentioning the camp battles earlier, and I'll talk about running back. Jones, Davis, Rico Dowdle. Which one of these guys is going to evolve as your number 2?
Right.
I mean, here's the thing: who do you think gives you more on special teams out of those 3? Rico, maybe?
Yeah, probably Rico.
Yeah. Then Malik or Jones?
I mean, I think Malik. I don't want to see Malik on no damn special teams, bro. I want to see him at running back too. I want to see him at running back too. So for those of you, because actually I think I got that clip. So let me go ahead and get into that clip of what Mike McCarthy actually said about the running back room. So my guy knows he asked, but I was just like, man, I don't want Malik Davis on, saying no special teams, bro. Just let him ball out. But here's his comments on the running back 2 slot.
Hey, Coach. Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Circling back to your running back room, you know what you get from Tony Pollard. Ronald Jones is more of a traditional back. But when you start factoring in some guys like Hunter Lipke, Deuce Vaughn, it's a great problem to have, but what's the challenge of balancing that versatility and using their flexibility with not getting too far away from a traditional run style?
Yeah, excellent. I think, number one is they're different. When you have different, traits in any position room, it really, to me, the conversation, you really kind of jump ahead to special teams because that's really what it's going to come down to. It's the importance of, their role, not only just on offense, but how can they contribute? Because at the end of the day, from day one, I mean, these rookies, the fastest and best vehicle to make the 53 is through special teams. I mean, that's just a fact of the matter. That's the way this league works, particularly for the guys that are later draft picks and free agents. So it's just the facts of the matter. So it's really finding that role, in also with us, the way we're trying to go, because, our running back rooms is different. Our receiver room is different. So, what does that look like as far as ball distribution, roles and responsibilities? I'll tell you right now, I think this 53 cut's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be really tough because.
Yeah, man. So I think Mike McCarthy needs to get one of your special teams matters shirts, bro. Because, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, I get it, man, but I don't think Malik needs to be on those special teams. I personally just feel like Malik Davis should be our running back 2 until proven otherwise. Let the Hunter Lupke's and Deuce Vaughn's kind of scrap it out and Ro Jones scrap it out, but I think Malik Davis has earned the right from what I saw last year. And like you said, he was getting the bulk of the carries today, so hopefully he's in good standing. But it's something to definitely keep our eye on. But
and of course, and that's the interesting part too. Again, remember you said attributes,
right?
Yeah, in a room. Mm-hmm. And we've been here where they've carried 2 running backs and that's it.
Right.
It's not going to be the case this year. Right. So realistically, Tuck, are they going to carry 3, or do you think they're going to carry 4? If you throw Hunter Lipke into the mix, I mean,
and see,
that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah, because it gets real interesting, right? Because I know that we've always used tight ends kind of as your fullback and kind of up back as well. But Hunter Lupke, and also I saw someone mention Princeton Fant. Princeton Fant, he's pretty much a Ginsu knife, right? Can do a lot of different things. I feel like I feel like Hunter Lupke is kind of like a fullback / running back / short edge tight end. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely locking Hunter Lupke in this roster unless he would have to completely just blow the lead. Like he would have to go out there and just, because I feel like they put some extra money in the bag, Mike McCarthy just speaks glowingly about him every time his name is brought up. So I feel like Hunter Lukey's a lock. Pollard's a lock.
Yeah.
Malik Davis better be a damn lock. And then Vaughn. And so, so if I'm looking on my guy that I'm going to be on the outside, I would say probably Rico and then probably Ronald Jones.
Right.
You know, because
that's exactly where I line up with it too. I think, you know, I've said it throughout this. Once we got the draft done and out of the way, to me the battle is always between for the number 2, and that's Rico, that's Jones, and that's Davis. I think that's the battle. I think the other 3 are here. They'll get a little cutesy tied in for Hunter Lipke thing or whatnot. I think Deuce and Pollard are here. Those 3 are going to battle. And, you know, if it's not Rico Delphi, I could see him going back to the practice squad. But it'll be very interesting if they go with Malik or Jones as a number 2, though. I think, but again, just a changing of the guard, though, just in general with the Cowboys and this running back room and how they've handled things, you know, for over 20 years or whatever.
Right.
So, well, Bill Parcells used to do this. I take that back. Bill Parcells in that stretch. Remember Richie Anderson, the fullback, and he was doing all these crazy things. He had like Eddie George, and there was Julian. He had like 3-4 guys. It's the first time since then, and we're kind of getting back to that.
Yeah, getting back to the fullback. But and you mentioned a good point, bro. What also matters is who did they think they can sneak on the practice squad, right? And you, like I said, y'all know 1,000 times when they try to sneak Malik Davis, I freaked out. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone on Twitter was like, "There's always that player that people cut, and everyone's gonna over." Like Malik Davis was my guy, right? So could you get away with it this year? Probably. You know, probably, but
running backs down.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I mean, hell, they don't even want running backs anymore. You know what I'm saying? So he can probably sneak him through the pipeline, but I feel like Rico is a guy you can definitely stash. Ronald,
we could get my spirit animal through dadgum waivers last year to get him to the practice squad. So I don't want to take no chances.
Who was that?
Oh, come on, man! The white D tackle.
Ridgeway.
Yeah,
Ridgeway. That was stupid though. That was just stupid. That was, you know what I'm saying? Like you should have known damn better. That wasn't going to happen.
The vanilla gorilla. And they got him. I was
well, and then he came to the division and he's balling out in the division. Like, you know, it was not to kind of revert back, but I hated the way that the Cowboys treated Ridgeway last year. Remember, we got kicked out of practice for throwing a punch, and you know, in that whole Denver Broncos scrimmage, he kind of, you know, like I was like, I want my defensive tackle to be nasty. He would have added
nasty.
nasty
up there.
I'm saying? So yeah, man. But now we got to deal with them in the division. But yeah, I think Rico, you try to stash. Ronald Jones, you can probably get away with it. You would keep Malik. I think the running back 2 slot is Malik's to lose. You have Hunter Luke because they also asked a question about pass pro, and he said pass pro is very important in the scheme for a lot of different reasons. So then I'm like, okay, well, damn, Malik Davis does have some pass pro that he's shown at Florida, but he really hasn't done it at the NFL level. Deuce can't do it. Ro Jones, possibly. He blocked for Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes for a little bit. So that'll probably be your veteran pass pro guy, and then Rico. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play. But for me, I would put my money on Malik Davis. I feel like he's the most deserving, and he's the running back I'm most excited about. I know a lot of people are excited about Deuce Vaughn, but I think that's more of a future play for when we move on from Tony Pollard after, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. Right. So let's get into a few questions before we get up out of here, man. So, overall, is there anything else, Nix, that you're looking at as far as just camp-wise that we haven't covered or that you're looking on for day 2? Like,
yeah, I like, and this kind of goes back to the mini camp and OTAs, and one of the things that stuck out to me from Mike McCarthy is like, we have things mapped out and we have a plan and we understand where we're getting to. Because I know a lot of times I get asked, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? I'm like, hey, man, they have a roadmap that they're getting to. And at that point, they were talking about, they were mapping out what they were doing on the road and coming back in the regular season is where they were. So they came into this thing with a plan. And I like hearing that side of things and what's going on. And we're seeing the plan early here and very well keeping us on our toes and what they're doing. So I enjoyed that side of it. And, how beforehand everything was just so dictatable and we just kind of knew, and now we got to do a little bit more work. That's what makes sense. We got to dig a little bit more. And I enjoyed that side of it, of having to do a little bit more digging, talk to other people more, and like, hey, what are you hearing here? And going back and forth. So I enjoyed that side of it more so now as we're kicking off this thing. But I think ultimately, man, for this team, in we're not getting a lot of it yet. And let me see. We watched we kind of had the same access to the same stuff today.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a whole lot of hitches.
Yeah, see, I didn't get deep into any of like the the routes and the concepts because from the angles, I mean, it's all zoomed in. So that'll be something I'll be studying more, next week when I'm actually out there. But I think that's something that a lot of the players have spoken about. It's just a lot less stop routes, getting the ball in motion, getting on the go, more mesh concepts and different things like that. So
I was gonna say there was a lot of slants, and that's kind of getting to the what we call the drag and the slant flat combos,
right?
Things like that, some deep crossers, and just again, we're not getting a full picture, but we're able to see. And shouts to Cal Yeomans, they were doing some work there in the 707, 11, getting some back-to-back plays in rapid section. I was just kind of looking back and forth. I was like, okay, these are definitely a different looking concept. Seeing Pollard come out of the backfield, not just your regular going to the flat, coming up the middle, going out, and like, oh yeah, the Texas route's coming. So I think early on, what excites me in that realm is just watching, some of these things early on and seeing some different concepts and what they're getting into. And man, the battle between, a little Cooks and a little Gilmore, and Gilmore got a little pass breakup.
And see, that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. Like that. I mean, if you want the box office, there's two box office matchups: our wide receiver core versus our secondary, and then also Mozzie Smith in the trenches. I want him lined up over Tyler Smith. Like those are two those are two pay-per-view battles I would pay for. Like, what I'm saying? Like, I would want to see, like, what I'm saying? Like, when they come out, they put those pads on next week, and it's one-on-one drills. And you see Mozzie put his hand in the dirt, and you see Tyler Smith go out there, and they're doing one-on-one drills. I'll pay for that. I'll pay. No, actually, let me chill because Jerry might start charging. Jerry said, "You what? You know what? You sure right?
What? Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah. Actually,
and that's the other thing too. I had some people ask, "Hey, well, how is Mozzie doing?" But no, they're not in pads.
Right, they're not in pads.
I mean,
it's not.
You have to wait for these big boys and some of the stuff. We see who's getting reps and everything, but I mean, it's very walkthrough-ish for them, 7-on-7. So we're not gonna get to that work, until a little bit later, obviously. From that standpoint, but I still wonder though, because Tuck, I know you've been out here on Twitter, so let me ask you this. All right, you've been out on Twitter, and you're a little spicy on maybe a certain quarterback. Maybe you're trying to upgrade the ginger that we have now with a different ginger.
Well, it's not necessarily just the ginger and Carson Wentz. There's Bridgewater out there as well.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I just feel like I would like a quality quarterback of just some elk. And I know a lot of people that saw Carson, they think about Eagle and Carson Wentz. Dang, how could you? I'm like the man in Indianapolis like 2 years ago threw for 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions and 500 yards. Like, so I need a guy that's kind of a phone case for Dak Prescott if something was to happen. Could Cooper Rush win me 2-3 games? Possibly so. But if I need 6 or 7 or a divisional game versus Philly, like, that's why I need like a guy I can trust. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was leaning like, hey, go get a veteran quarterback, and it's gonna have that insurance policy. But of course, it's just like, yeah. So, but what's your thoughts? Like, are you good?
I'm gonna go back to my hat of last year. It's Will Grier season, baby. Come on, Will Grier. And maybe more so now because of the changes to the offense and Mike McCarthy being the play caller. Maybe now he gets more of a shake at it.
Right.
See what happens.
But
we'll have to wait and see, obviously.
And that's the thing. Like, people forget that Cooper Rush didn't have a good camp or preseason last year. It was bad. It was bad. So I'm just like, I mean, and a lot of people don't understand that our defense and special teams carried that momentum in a run game, right? So I know, ESPN and First Take was, Cooper Rush this, and he was winning.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, our offense fell off a damn cliff. Like, I remember sitting there at that Cincinnati game hoping just to get across the 50 so we can get a field goal range. Like, just give me 3. You know what I'm saying? Just get me 3. So it wasn't like he went out there, like he did make some throws. Noah Brown held him down, didn't hold Dak Prescott down for some reason, right? But it was just like, you know, it's just difference, right? And you look around, you see what Philadelphia does, like even though you have Jalen Hurts, but then you got Marcus Mariota, you know, like a guy who's capable, who's been in the trenches, right? Even when we played them on Christmas Eve, they had Gardner. Like so they got a guy that's been through the fire. Last year was Cooper Rush's first starts. You know what I'm saying? So if it's a Teddy Bridgewater sitting out there or Carson Wentz, as my guy Law would say, bring them in for a cup of coffee. And if they get beat out, you send them packing. You know, like they get beat out,
that's fair.
Packing.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I'm okay with upgrading it. Yeah. I mean, I'm not out. We tried to upgrade it last year, even.
Right.
And salute to Cooper Rush and what he did last year and whatnot. But as you said, I mean, how we were carried is how we were carried.
Right.
But yeah, I'd be okay upgrading that. You know, other question I'd ask you as well. Okay, we know Diggs is done now. $100 million man, great contract. Martin's getting done.
Right.
I don't know if this is maybe even a wink week between them two, but man, just get ready. We'll get you in here. I don't know. But I mean, it's going to get done, right? Do the Cowboys get Lamb done? Because this is the thing that Steven talks about before they got to camp. And he said it again, even, you know, before Diggs was signed, mentioned Lamb and mentioned Steele as well. Mm-hmm. I'm intrigued because the Martin thing's happening, but now they're in camp right now. Things are happening. Do you think that they're going to get another guy done, whether it be Lamb or Steele?
So my order I said yesterday, I feel like it's going to be Zach Martin. Of course, they're going to get him because you know what I'm saying. When pads come on and Dak's really not, you know what I'm saying, like they're going to get Josh Ball up out of there. But if I feel like the person that's going to, lights out. If I feel like there's anybody who's going to be next up, I think that they're going to hold off on CeeDee Lamb, unfortunately. Now, the Cowboys I know, actually, let me revert. The Cowboys I know will probably hold off on CeeDee Lamb because of the fifth-year option. I feel like Terrence Steele is more a priority because he would be a free agent if he's unsigned, right? So it's like they might want to get that deal done first before CeeDee Lamb and maybe do it next year. But my thing is, I don't want that Jefferson deal to beat us to the punch, right? Ooh. So, you know, maybe there's an opportunity where the Zach Martin pin swipe is to open up and free the money for CeeDee Lamb. You know, but if I'm going by traditionally how the Cowboys would do things, I feel like Terrence Steele would be the easier contract because he's coming off the ACL injury. You'd be able to get him, lock him in, and kind of move forward. So if anyone gets signed, I would go with Terrence Steele over CeeDee Lamb.
You got the buffer. Yeah, you definitely. And here's the thing about it, because you got him and Tyler Biadasz, right? Steele, that is, and Biadasz, and they're both free agents next year.
Right.
You knock one of those out. It buys you some room. I ain't talking about franchise tag, but I'm just saying it does give you the opportunity. You want to keep the other guy too. Right. It opens it up. You have the time to get that done. My last question that I wanted to bring up as well, and then wherever you got left, we go.
Okay, cool.
Kicker.
Yeah. All right. I even brought kicker up because I kind of gave up on it now. It's just like, you know, I'm
Mr. Special Teams man. I'm not like,
yeah. Well, here's what's funny, right? I hear all this special teams talk from Mike McCarthy until it's time to address the kicker, and it's like, oh, well, we got a guy. I mean, he played this little league. You know what I'm saying? Man? He played in the flag football league with me. He cool. He can run. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right. So special teams matter, except the most important piece, which is the kicker. But you know,
maybe I'm out here at training camp. Oh, look at Anger. Look at these punts from Brian Anger. He's booming it. I'm seeing these. I'm like, y'all ain't show me no kicks though.
Yeah, no kicking competition.
These punts.
Yeah,
y'all ain't show me no place kicking though.
Yeah, I can tell y'all how bad it is for the Cowboys kicker situation when you play Madden 24. When y'all play Madden 24 in a few weeks, you're gonna be raging. You're gonna be raging.
Just go for it.
Yeah, bro. Man. I'm like, is my controller glitching or what, bro? But you're killing me out here, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like my meter was all sped up and frozen. So yeah, hopefully the Cowboys will address the kicking situation. But you know, maybe they hit big in the USFL. They feel like they have a pipeline there.
All-Pro last year.
Yeah. So maybe they're gonna pull her. You know what I'm saying? But me personally, I would have probably brought back Money Maher. You know what I'm saying? like. You know, because people don't understand, he really saved us a lot during the Cooper Rush phase. Like, he saved us a lot of times. He just had a few little brain farts in Tampa, you know what I'm saying? Got a little iffy in San Fran. But for the most part throughout the season, he's held us down like steel. So, you know, unfortunately, you know, he's gone. But now it's a huge question mark to the point where it's just like, just gonna close my eyes. You know what I'm saying? Close my eyes. But maybe Mike McCarthy's gonna be aggressive and go for it. That's how he was in 2020. You know what I'm saying?
True.
He's like, I'm just gonna go for it, right? So maybe he'll be more aggressive, but we shall see. But my guy Nix, man, appreciate you for coming on, my guy, as always. For y'all don't know, man, me and Nix probably could cook up for another 3 or 4 hours, but we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do that. We can probably just get this.
I'm leaving here and going to run to space. So
this is just the appetizer, man. It's just the appetizer, right? But definitely follow my guy, man. So for everyone seeing you for the first time, bro, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, man. Your guy Nix. NIX, your _ Nix, like it says on the screen. If y'all can see it on the screen there, you can catch me on Twitter on that side. Come follow me over that way, doing content spaces. Like I said, people saw we were doing the show today, and they're like, "No day one space." I'm like, "Okay, let me wrap up with Tuck. I'll come over and do a space. I ain't doing no 5-hour space. I'll do about an hour or so, and whatnot." And of course, on YouTube, Pick Six Sports. You come catch me, Professor O, Mary. Talk to her. Things are cooking over there. We're getting Dom on this year as well too. If y'all followed us during the draft coverage, man, he was A1 with some draft stuff. Dom, really good guy. And of course, I got Spoonie delivering the sermons, message, if you will, sermons. So man, we're ripping up and ready to take off over there for this our 5th season. Oh man, time flies. We're the old vets, man. We're the old vets now. You know what I'm saying? Like I see like some of the young bucks starting their channels, and they're reaching out for like advice, like this whole story. Like I remember my first show, and but actually my first season was the worst because that was the pandemic season. That was the Dak ankle. Like it was hard. I was like, man, did I get in the wrong? It lasted, man. But like, man, I'm sitting out there trying to, talk myself up from Garrett Gilbert, and I was trying to force it, But at least we had Andy Dalton to kind of keep things afloat. So 2020 is a struggle, man. But I'm a crafty old vet in season 4, man. So Nix, I appreciate you, all the hard work. Definitely give my guy a follow. If y'all don't know what Twitter Spaces is, tell everybody what is a Twitter Space. I get asked that because not a lot of people are on Twitter. They don't understand the importance of Twitter Spaces. So basically, it's almost like a radio show to a certain extent, like a call-in line, except in real time, if you will. There's no music. So you got a host and a couple of co-hosts, and and we're going through this topic. It's kind of how we're doing in this channel right now. It'd be me and Tuck up there, we're talking to whatever, and basically instead of, you can do comments underneath the space as it's going, and we can kind of throw them in the jumbotron. But on the same token, you just request the mic and come up and talk to, and ask questions or go back and forth on a topic with us or whatever the case may be at that time. So it's just a different way to interact audibly and not visually, is the best way to put it. So it's a little more, I guess it is digital, but it's almost like analog radio versus digital TV.
But it's a good way to interact with Cowboys fans and just knowledgeable people all in the space too. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? I get it in, get in. Sometimes, I'm a target, right? I'm like, I'm getting it out, right? But overall, it's a good experience, man. You know what I'm saying? And definitely hop in the Twitter Spaces, man. But I appreciate you guys, man. For everyone watching me for the first time, J Tuck, follow me on all social media platforms at JTuck151. I appreciate all the support. Comment, like, subscribe, spread the content, share the content. It costs you nothing. There's so many people who are unaware. I saw a guy, he said something on Twitter. He was like, I'm surprised, as big as the Cowboys community is, they don't do a lot of film study. And I'm just like, bruh, we literally do overloads in films. Like, you might get 8 film studies of the same player on the same day. Like, that is our, but there's a lot of people who just don't have that awareness. So how we help that is by sharing the content, liking the content, and letting a lot of people kind of understand what we do here in our community, because it's special. I go live, probably have Law probably live, Boss go live, Nix goes live and do spaces. Like, you guys are getting around the clock content with DallasCowboys.com and the media. It's nonstop. My guy who covers the 49ers, he said you can't even have your phone out at camp. They'll kick you out. Like, they hold up big, he said they hold up big red signs that says no phones, practices in session, and if the security catches you on your phone, they pull you out. So the insights and stuff that y'all get, definitely be appreciative of, because a lot of NFL fan bases don't get that. And that's why I was saying, y'all, yesterday, I'm not going to be out there live streaming our entire practice, because some stuff ain't everybody supposed to see. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Especially with these massive cuts coming, like, sometimes like Mike McCarthy, you remember when we first started and we did that white and blue scrimmage, the blue and white scrimmage, right? And Mike McCarthy didn't show nothing. I'm a live stream, y'all. I'm a live stream. I'm a live stream and do like the blue and white scrimmage, man. You'll see feet moving.
Yeah.
Feet moving.
Well,
man.
it was like, what is this?
Yeah.
See nothing. Oh, that was so funny. I
Yeah.
said, oh, Mike's a fool with that one.
Yeah,
He's
man.
a
But I
fool with
but I
that one.
appreciate you guys, man, for all the support. Thank you for all the super chats. It goes a long way. I will be out there at camp next week, so you definitely got to tune in. We're going to be doing shows at the shows, of content. So you definitely don't want to miss out, man. But I want everyone to stay safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged, and Cowboys are back, baby. Let's get it. Peace.
Yes, sir.